It is strange to be preaching sermons knowing that I have so few Sundays left. I feel as though I want to make the sermons count. But perhaps you can tell me better if I succeed or don't. The gospel reading today is one with which we are all very much familiar. This story of the Good Samaritan, of the man who is journeying on his way to a city, and as he journeys, he falls afoul of robbers and is beaten and robbed and left naked and half dead in the ditch. And of course, the Levite and the priest, they walk by, the elevated and high in the society, and they ignore him. Although they see him, they pass by to the other side so that they do not become unclean. And it is only the despised enemy, the Xanos, the Samaritan, who reaches out to his brother in need and ministers to him, cares for him, and finds him shelter and care so that he will be able to recover. We are accustomed to this story, and we all know that the meaning of it is that we should always be merciful and not cross the road and ignore those who are in need. This is the obvious meaning. But consider the context. Why does Christ tell the story? A lawyer has come to him, a wise man, and he asks, "What must I do to have salvation?" And Christ says, "Well, you're smart. You tell me. What does the law say? How do you read it?" And he says, "The law says, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your mind and with all your strength, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself." And Christ says, "That's right. You have the right interpretation. Go and do this and you will live." He's like, "See, I didn't even have to give you a real answer. You answered it yourself." But the guy feels a little embarrassed that he came and asked a question to which he knew the answer. So he says, "Well, Lord, who is my neighbor? Who am I supposed to love as myself?" And then the Lord tells this story. So yes, the intent is to communicate our responsibilities to those that are in need. But what Christ says in the story is he is intending to communicate who is our neighbor. Which is to say, whoever is in need and whoever reaches out to us when we are in need. Because as he says at the conclusion, who showed himself to be a neighbor to the man who had been robbed? And he said, the one who showed him pity. So this is the interpretation. Now, what does this mean for us? Most of us in the church are Hellenes, yes? Most of us are Greeks. I'm not Greek. I won't ask for a show of hands who else does not have Greek blood. But we all share, at the very least, this cultural identity, this religious identity, this linguistic, this language identity. Μιλάμε ελληνικά στην εκκλησία και occasionally in the sermons when the priest can remember the right words, yes? Who is our neighbor then? Is it only the Greek who walks through the door? The one from the same village as us? The one from the same north or south as us? The one from the same country as us? The one who speaks the same language? Is this our neighbor? The Lord says, yes, but not only them. We have a reputation in the world at large, a reputation which is well-deserved and praiseworthy. We are a close-knit family. We are a tight-knit community. We have generations of the same family sitting in the pews Sunday after Sunday. The children and their parents and their grandparents and their great-grandparents and their great-great-grandparents we commemorate in the memorial services. We are very good at using the church to preserve our family. We are not so good at using the church to expand our family. Too often the cost of that tight-knit community is that our doors seem closed to those who are outside. And even when the door is open, the community is closed. People come into the church, they may find a smiling face, they may not. They may be asked, I'm sorry, I don't speak Greek. Yeah. I hope not. But it happens. We hear the stories. So instead to say, in English, if they say, I'm sorry, I don't speak Greek, forgive me. Welcome. It is good to see you. And smile. To greet them. To let them know, okay, they don't understand our language. They don't know what they're doing here, but we are happy to see them anyway. I talk about this not least because of two things. Right before I was assigned here, the bishop gave me a book to read that I've only had time to read now. Or that is to say, I've read the first chapter. And it speaks of the importance for the church of those who visit. Those who step through the doors, maybe they're Greeks, they're just here for a memorial. Maybe they are Greeks and have just moved to this city and they have a new job and they're trying to find the parish. Maybe they are not Greek at all. They were just walking down the road and saw our beautiful temple and thought to come inside and see what in the world a Greek Orthodox church is. If we think of how many people have stepped through our doors over the past 50 years here on East Avenue, the past 30 years, the last year and a half, to speak of the time for which I have been responsible, how many have stayed? Can we think of one? And yet we know we have had visitors. This is a matter that, yes, the priest has an effect on. The sermon that I preach, the smile that I give to people who visit. Much more so, those who are in the narthex, those who are in the pews. We can show welcome to those strangers who wander in. Sometimes the stranger may not be a stranger. They may be the grandchild of our best friend from childhood. And if we can but take the time to find that out, we may be able to welcome them back to their heritage and their faith from which they have strayed. But if we don't smile until we know who they are, will they think we are welcoming? Will they think we are faithful Christians who understand the necessity of showing forth the love and the hospitality of the Lord to everyone, whether or not they are a long-lost cousin from 5 generations ago, Stinalado. This is something that we can, each of us, change about ourselves now. That when we come into the church, we look for someone we don't recognize. In the social hall, of course, but here too. We put out our hand before we come and sit down. We smile. We introduce ourselves. Maybe we apologize for not remembering who they are. I certainly do that enough, you all know. But we reach out a hand. We welcome them. And we tell them and show them by our actions and our face that we are happy to see them. In this way, the church is enlarged. In this way, we may find faithful, pious spouses for our children and our grandchildren. In this way, we may find friends who will comfort us and support us in the times of need. In this way, we may find our church growing instead of shrinking, as it is now, year by year. In this way, we may even find priests. I, one day, 10 years or so ago, walked into a church where they did not speak my language. I had never seen a censer. I had never heard of vestments. And if you asked me what a priest did, I probably would have said it was close to what a witch doctor did. I got a smile a welcoming hand. Someone brought me andidro after communion because I knew I could not receive. And I found myself embraced by the ancient and living Church of Jesus Christ. That day set me on the path to stand here. Who can know what effect will come from the smile and the handshake in the narthex, or from the lack of it? So, this is easy. We can all smile. Show me. I'm serious. I practice with the children. Show me your beautiful smiles. The priest is used to seeing the serious faces of the people who are listening carefully and attentively to his sermon. Now show me your smiles. In some churches, they practice smiling, and only the people with the nicest smiles are allowed to stand in the narthex and welcome people. I do not suggest that we do this, but practice your smile before you come to church. Look for a stranger and welcome them. In this, we fulfill the commandments of God to love our neighbor. That is to say, whatever person happens to be in front of us at this moment. And in this way, we work for the growth and the betterment of the church today and in the future until the day that the Lord returns, and we show that with the talent, the gift that he has given to us, we have multiplied the harvest and have for him a multitude awaiting his coming. God bless you all. Have a wonderful week. Please, if you are able, stay for the General Assembly. We went through the service as quickly as we could so that we can have more people present. We had to reschedule this once. We will not do it again. It's your last chance. So, have a wonderful day. God bless you.